In case you hadn't noticed, the price of petrol has been on a steady rise. It's now hit a 3-year high. The price you pay reflects the fact that the global oil prices are up and the weaker Kiwi dollar. We've been talking about that a bit over the past few weeks. But those analysing petrol prices say that while there are legitimate factors creating the increase, New Zealanders are still being ripped off. Bridget Mills reports.
There have been 4 petrol price jumps totalling 10 cents a litre over the past 10 days, and it's starting to hit people in the pocket.
I think they are too high at the moment. They're getting pretty high, so it's pretty rough with some of the people around here. Like, it's just getting pretty hard for some of us.
I haven't actually filled up for about 10 days and I'm getting a bit scared.
The AA say while some hikes can be explained, others can't. Petrol spokesperson Mark Stockdale questions yesterday's 3 cent a litre rise.
The latest increase is not justified. Our exchange rate has actually stabilised. It's been pretty stable for the last week, really. While the commodity price has increased a little bit, not enough to explain the 3 cent increase that we saw yesterday. So in the AA's view, actually, it looks like the prices shouldn't have gone up yesterday the way they have. And so really that's one for the fuel companies to explain.
RNZ has called around the main players in the market. BP and Z got back in touch to explain that the increase is due in part to the cost of the raw product, with the barrel price now at a 2-year high, and there's been that drop in the exchange rate. But aside from global prices and how well the Kiwi dollar is faring against the US, what you pay at the pump depends very much on where in the country you're driving. People in Wellington and the South Island generally pay more, and these drivers in the capital are not impressed.
Oh, I think it's disgusting all over the thing. I mean, you find you go to Christchurch, you're paying more again.
I think it's pretty unfair in a big city. I think like such as Wellington and Auckland, we kind of should be paying consistently similar prices.
That's market forces in action, which just proves market forces don't work.
Larry Green runs a crowdsourcing app called Gatsby, which has about 60,000 users entering the price they pay at the pump. It paints a pretty good picture of fuel prices around the country, which he says often make no sense.
Some of the obscurities there are nonsensical. There's no real reason why the prices are more expensive, on one block than the next block.
The reasons behind the disparity formed part of an investigation the Commerce Commission carried out earlier this year. It found there was no clear justification for Wellington and the South Island being charged more. Was it due to transport costs, or were margins increased due to a lack of competition? The Commission didn't find out why, as Mark Stockdale from the AA explains.
The investigators were unable to get all the data that they needed to answer the questions. And that was because, the fuel companies weren't required to share all the information, and the only way to solve that is to actually give the Commerce Commission regulatory powers to obtain all the data that they need to fully investigate the market. So that's a power that currently the Commerce Commission doesn't have.
But the Commission might soon be given that power. At the time of the investigation, Labor said it would amend legislation, if elected, to allow the Commerce Commission to properly investigate petrol companies. The new Minister of Energy, Megan Woods, was too busy with the state opening of Parliament for an interview, but in a statement she said the petrol price matter is a priority and she's asking officials to provide a detailed report by the end of the month. Mō te hōtaka o te ahiahi, ko Bridget Mills tēnei.